Huh? Oh,
Oh,
all right.
that was classic.
I know. I wish I would have gotten it on the recording.
Yeah. I'm glad you didn't. Now I can deny it. Um,
No, you can't. There were 40 witnesses at least.
Yeah, we
yeah,
all heard it.
fair. All right. Well, welcome everybody to the 652nd episode of SaaS Alerts. And
This is season 3, episode 52.
is that what it is?
Isn't that the way they do it?
I think
Season
so. I
three.
like that. Yeah.
We are in season three. By the way, are you going to be at IT Nation at all? Will I see anybody? Um,
I'll be at IT Nation. Ryan will be there with me. Pat will be there with me, and Joseph Golden will be there. I think that's
okay.
the team we're sending.
Okay. All right. All right. So we got Jim with wins of the week. Amy's got the monthly newsletter. And then we've done this. I think this will be our third time. Chip, we've got the digital defense report. Really excited actually to go through this. It's too big to obviously go through every section, but I really focused on the identity and social engineering. And it's so dovetails into everything we talk about and aligns to what you guys are doing with your platform. I was pretty excited to see not obviously what bad stuff's happening, but your innovation, how it aligns to what the threat actors are doing.
I know what you mean. I mean, my first response is that this is going to be fun. And then I thought, yeah, the fact that we find this fun with what bad stuff is happening is kind of interesting. But hey, that's who we are.
Exactly. Well, speaking of fun, Jim, why don't we kick off with wins of the week?
Yeah, so first of all, kudos to Enrique. For those that have not read the newsletter yet, not to steal any of Amy's thunder because she's going to go over the newsletter. I'm just going to mention this one piece.
Okay.
Enrique is partner of the month, so one
That's
MSP.
Did Enrique
So
know that? Doesn't look
I don't
like he
No,
know.
did.
I
I
don't.
did not. I had to
You
turn on
didn't?
Enrique. Is there another Enrique in here?
No. So this is why you guys have
Wow.
to read the newsletter. All
Yeah.
kinds of surprises
Wow.
in there.
Thank you
and
very much.
and what did behind curtain number one, Enrique? What did you win?
That's a good question. Just feeling awesome is great. So that's
I
a win.
mentioned in the newsletter and on the Sassy call.
Yeah, exactly. What
Wow.
what could be better than that? I'm trying to scratch my head.
Yeah. Well, he's not in the camper this week, so apparently he's been allowed to move back home.
That's
Till the
great.
8th.
So
Wow, I'm really honored.
I'll
Whatever it
add
is,
while we're
maybe it
on
says
it.
I suck, but I'm still honored. I don't know.
No, no. So you're always here, you're participating, you're always willing to share your stories, the good, the bad, lessons learned. I think that we've learned a lot as a group from all of the interactions we've had from you. And then you do the same thing on office hours. So like it's amazing all of the engagement that you have here. So we thought
Thank you guys.
it was well past time. So thank you as well.
Enrique, I'll add that if my memory serves me correctly, you've had at least one triple double in the last 6 weeks. Triple double being you caught a compromised and saved a customer. Um,
Yes.
so
Yes.
I think you're batting 1,000 with how you're using the platform and how it's performing for your customers.
Awesome. Thank you guys for delivering the platform that allows us to do that. So
So in Andy Rowe fashion, why don't we have these like videos on SaaS alerts, like, customer of the
Is
month?
Andy not here
Yeah.
today?
No, he's not.
Andy's
And
Oh,
not
so
here for my
you're
award.
yeah,
He
so
may
you're
be. I thought I saw
that's
Lightship IT join. So he may be. I know he's traveling though. I saw him at
here,
Troop here, and
here.
he and his wife were taking the Bright Line from Orlando down to Miami, and they're going to spend the weekend there in advance of DattoCon. Um, so I don't know if he's en route. Um,
He's really got his priorities messed up with his wife, and
I
yeah,
figured he'd like join us from the Bright Line train or something, you know?
exactly. They have Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so in other news and wins of the week, I'm on the board of two private equity backed MSPs, and we had a board meeting this week for one of them, and they were going over the numbers that they achieved in Q3, and quote unquote, in Q3, in Q2 and Q3, SaaS search was a godsend because they sent out the coverage extension notification to all their customers, got 97% adoption, and increased their monthly recurring revenue by approximately $85,000 a month. So, and which is going to help them, make their numbers.
So
Jim,
as a
did
board member, you let their sales team take the rest of the fourth quarter off.
No, because they hit their expansion number, but they didn't hit their NCA number, so they still got work to do on that front.
I was going to say, Jim, didn't you, as a board member, suggest a certain percentage go back to SaaS alerts?
Yeah, plus, it's a great point,
Oh,
Andrew.
good point. No, that's not Andy. That's who always asks us to raise our pricing. Oh, that is Andy Rowe, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm filling in today.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to raise your. If you're going to do that, you have to raise your digital hand and just sit there patiently and wait for Andrew Morgan to call on you. So we'll all be in a doom loop.
Okay.
Andy Rowe's always promoting to increase the pricing, and Enrique's always like, no, 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 don't do that.
Yeah, I think
Well,
there's more than just Enrique.
we don't have to worry about pricing. So, but that's a testament, right? To if you implement the go-to-market strategies that we've proven out, it can mean significant increases for your MSP. So lots of times we talk about wins that are associated with saving customers, which is great. We should always do that. But this is a gigantic financial win for an MSP.
Jim, I have a win.
Please.
I was on the phone with Karl Bickmore yesterday from
Mhm.
CEO Snaptech. They got probably about 15 million MSP, decent
Yeah.
size.
Yeah.
And I remember we remember firsthand when that whole thing started. It was at
Yeah.
IT. But I'm doing a talk with him at IT Nation this year. It's on secure onboarding, and he just started to go into because we were talking about, he has a company now, Raven Automation, which does implementations of Roost. They're very big into, the Roost platform. And so obviously we're going to talk about, secure configuration upon onboarding and why it's so, critical.
Right.
And we started to talk about, M365 and, where I said, so what are you seeing these days, Karl? And he's like, it's not even close. It's all about still AITM, everything around, social engineering, token hijacking, etc. And he's like, and it's SaaS Alerts is saving our ass every single day. He's like, that thing is so like literally unprovoked. He was just talking about what they're dealing with on a day in and day out basis. And he's like, what we were talking about also was, he gave that we're changing a little bit. His was one of the highest rated sessions at Write a Boom on secure onboarding. And he's like, but I want to make sure, so much has changed, even in the 5 months, 6 months since Write a Boom. He said, we were dealing with BEC a lot more then. He's like, obviously that's the end result, what they're still getting, but the attack type is just completely moved into these token hijacking,
Right.
so everything we've been talking about, Jim and Chip,
Yeah.
week after week. He's like, the uptick in it has been just through the roof.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing that, Andrew. And I was talking to Gary Pica yesterday, and he's at his Troop Here event. He called me and said, he's been in a bunch of sessions and walking around to different groups. And he's like, I almost hate to say it, but everyone loves because he doesn't like giving me credit for anything.
Of course.
Yeah.
Like I haven't lived that life, Jim.
Yeah, exactly. So you totally know what I'm talking about. He was like, I hate to say it, everyone loves SaaS alerts. So, which is great.
Yeah.
Not to say that we don't have more work to do and we're going to continue to innovate because that's what we do here. But there was just some pretty cool wins.
No word after, so we want to purchase you.
What's that?
No words after you're awesome. Everyone loves it, and we want to purchase you.
More, we want to innovate more so more people can buy SaaS alerts. That's what we want. More, we need to, what we need to do, right, is make sure that we're spreading the word out there so we get more and more folks understanding what we do.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
how we can help.
So I keep coming back to Jim. Why don't we have these videos out there from all these wins of the week which would be searchable, and then we could white label and send them out, and you could have an automated marketing campaign that I could just plug in all my HubSpot into. Amy could crank it up for us, and then Leron could have a back-end API.
Oh yeah, it's a win of the week highlight reel.
Yeah, easy peasy. I can crank that out by the end of the day.
Yeah, it's a great idea, Andrew. I'm glad
I actually do love that idea.
You really are doing your best, Andy Rowe. You're on it.
I'm bummed Andy isn't here to see my Andy Rowe impression. It's very, very sad. But okay. What else? Anybody got some good wins out there? Oh, wait. Michael's here. Michael. So I hope you could take the Andy's son's here. So it's in the best of jest, Michael, because we love him. So anyone else have any good stuff? No? All right.
Well, before you move on,
yes,
we have a new ad hoc segment here. We do it every week now. Ben, what's the news from the MSA side of the world? Any big changes you're seeing? Any uptick? Are we still holding around that 500 ticket or so level, or is that still increasing in terms of the number of items your team's catching?
Oh yeah. Last 10 days or so, we're at around 450 tickets, and we have really started hitting the 4 to 5 scores pretty hard, and have taken a couple MSPs from an average of 30% across their client base upwards to like 50 or 60%. So we're working on getting those scores up now. Now that we're kind of a little bit more comfortable with ingesting alerts and reacting to them.
So you and I have talked a little bit this week about what you're doing on the Fortify side to start templatizing this, and how you've put together basically a partner interview for the MSA participants. Can you just share with everybody a little bit about what that looks like? Maybe Enrique has been through it already. I don't know. But why don't you just share with everyone on the call what that's looking like and how you're addressing, that part of the MSA package?
Certainly. So a lot of MSPs already are tackling the things that Microsoft wants them to address. They're just not getting credit for it. So the interview is about I guess like 20 questions of just finding out, what is the MSP stack. And the questions that I ask will usually cover like 10 or like 15 different controls depending on the questions. So sometimes I can get easy points by just letting Microsoft know, hey, we've already taken that, we've taken care of that. And that protects you guys. So if anybody ever comes out behind you, or insurance or another MSP, and tells them, hey, pull up your Azure Secure Score, that they can't use that as ammunition to get into the door and to say, well, your current MSP is not doing anything for you, because they're going to come in, they're going to see, oh, well, your score is at 70, 80%. No, never mind. And so that's something that we're really hitting. And as far as the templates, we're building them around licensing packages. I don't know about you, but I can't keep track of all of Azure's different security licenses, but I do know Business Premium, Business Standard. And so the templates that we're providing are built around that. We're kind of tiering it off. We start low with some low impact things that'll get your score up, increase your security, but not tick off too many of your clients. And then we'll kind of build from that. It's essentially like building a house. We're gonna start at the foundation level.
Yep. So you're heavily relying right now on taking people through sort of a planning session around what their stack is, and then really it sounds like you're teaching them how to use alternative mitigation within Fortify in order to get there, which has always been sort of one of the mysterious parts of that particular module of ours. I'm not sure everybody understands it, so I we could do a segment on that at some point in the future. Maybe Ben, we'll have you take people through a little bit, or maybe your next video if you haven't done one already, on explaining alternative mitigation and how that works.
Yeah, they're easy points, and it'll bump your score up, and it tells Microsoft you're handling the things that they're concerned about. And so, yeah.
Right.
Ben.
Enrique's got a hand up.
I just told Ben at the implementation call we had for Fortify a couple of days ago, he better not go after my title I had from a year ago where I went from 3% to 73%, and I got a prize. That was last October, I think, or
I got a
November. So I'm like,
prize.
you better not go after my record.
I think I'm excluded from prizes, unfortunately.
Yeah, he is. He is. No prizes for Ben.
Ben, question,
He first of all, before he became an employee, he took us for a lot of money, that guy.
I did.
What was it, $5,000?
Yeah,
Ben?
around that much. Yeah. I got a nice 3D printer out of it.
Yeah, and what have you made for Jim or me as a 3D printer
Yeah,
present? Just
exactly.
curious, Mr. Maker. I don't see anything on Jim's bookshelf back there that has a signature of Ben on it.
That's why we had to hire Ben. Otherwise, we were losing too much money.
Happy to help.
Jim, I got a question. So Ben, these 450 or so tickets that have been created, can you just maybe give us a top 3 to 5 on what you're seeing? Like, can you segment it? Like, this is the top. This is,
Yeah. A lot of them are us helping MSPs define what outside approved location is acceptable. So we're using a lot of Unify with that. And the other ones that are, on the more malicious side are, averagely, like mailbox rules being created. It's kind of a dead giveaway. That token theft campaign is still happening. We're still catching people from that as well. Saw one this morning. But it's really just a matter of defining what's normal for the MSP and helping them establish that baseline so that when something does happen, so say, for instance, we see someone has used a token to sign in, but the IP address is known for a VPN is malicious, and it's also unknown to us, then we take action on that. We consider that enough evidence to make the person at least sign back in.
nice. That's awesome. What percent? This is going to be an ambiguous question, but based on, so I'm a non-MSA user, right? Versus, and then I decide to start with you. If you had to put a mean together, what kind of percent configuration do you improve me? Versus I've been using SaaS Alerts for 6 months, a year. You get my question. I'm just trying to get of how much tweaking, people should be doing ideally versus what they are doing.
It really ranges. So we have some MSPs that have just not touched respond at all. We still have the amazing traveling rule that Anthony walks them through. And then we have other MSPs that have been really dialed in with respond. So there's not really a standard that we run across, but we try to get in there and help them not only with respond rules that make sense and that are effective, but helping them dial down some of the alert fatigue that they're experiencing. So I always tell people that think of us as just another one of your employees, except our only job is just SaaS Alerts, and that's what we're here to handle.
Yeah, and Jim, the only reason I bring this up to you and Amy here is like, again, you're a sales-minded human. And, like if you think you're top of funnel, right? Let's just say there's 100 MSPs on SaaS Alerts and there's another 1,000 that aren't. Even if you started just teasing out, right, to everybody, hey, these are the ones we're finding that SaaS Alerts customers on the margin aren't. Check yours. If you want to learn more about what we're doing and how we're helping others with MSA, click here. So I think you'd find that you'd shake out, every week a few people that would want to learn more just out of, the goodness that they do it or not. At least you're providing value, saying, hey, check this setting. This is where
it's a good point, Andrew. It's a good point.
Yeah.
Kind of what Ben does with the Discord, but just broaden it.
Yeah, because probably not everybody's in there, right, Chip?
Right. Yep.
Yeah, because the stuff that we do, we don't, obviously I'm not posting it on Reddit. Here's all the things that we're monitoring for. But if a partner comes to me that's not MSA that wants very similar protection, we're happy to help them. It's not that we're trying to hold the secret sauce just for ourselves.
Yeah, and I think that's the way to posture it in like maybe just a weekly email blast, Jim. It's like, it's like you have a threat feed, right? Companies will say, hey, these are the top threats we're seeing this week. If you're a vulnerability management company, hey, these are the top misconfigurations or lack of configurations we're seeing this week here on SaaS Alerts.
Andrew's full of marketing ideas this week.
I know. He really is filling in for Andy.
I'm
no question.
Look, I'm about to sign off. This is a George Costanza moment. So I still have to do the rest of it.
No, I do love that idea. And if it's something, I think it's something we could easily send out by email to our partners. I would just need to know what it's. I mean, it's a simple cut and paste every week and resend the same email. So if we wanted to do that.
Before we move on, I wanted to bring something up that I saw, I guess, over the last couple of days in Reddit. I don't know if anyone's been following it. The MSP got nabbed for
P1
being out of Microsoft compliance for P1 licenses. Anyone see that?
You tell Jim, is the Microsoft police back in town?
Oh yeah, in a big way.
I actually missed that one. You didn't send that one to me.
Yeah.
And then he's actually targeting Kaseya because he says Rocket Cyber told me to just go buy one in their instructions. So as to how to set it up, just add a P1 to the admin and you'll be good. We'll get the logs. So the MSP is kind of using that as his support.
I think a lot of people have always said that, though. It's kind of been common knowledge that you can get away with it. It's common knowledge
to get away with it, but I know that Chip has always said, look,
you can get away with it, but don't do it.
Exactly. Right. You can do it, but
Microsoft is no joke if they catch you. They put down the hammer. They're like the IRS. You can get away with it, but when they catch you, it's miserable.
Apparently, the big deal here is they're making the customer. Sorry, go ahead.
No. Go ahead, Enrique.
So apparently, the big deal here is they're making the customer, as a responsible party, pay for all the licensing costs they owe. If not, they're shutting them down. And the customer saying, "Wait a minute, I didn't do this. One MSP did it, or whatever MSP did it."
I heard they had to fix it within 90 days or they're shutting them down, but they weren't making them pay any back pay.
I read two. I read one that says, good thing is they didn't penalize them, but then I read another one that said they had to pay up all the money, if not, they were getting shut down. So
this is a revenue business for Microsoft. They have a whole department, legal and license compliance. I'm surprised. I'd be surprised if they let them get away with it, Enrique. They typically tend to go pretty hard on this when they find somebody obfuscating their licensing.
Yeah. Andrew, do you know anyone that's ever been through a CSP audit, or have you ever been through it?
No. I'm glad.
It is literally like the IRS.
I'm sure
they send in a 30-year-old experienced senior guy with 2 or 3 staffers from either Pricewaterhouse or one of the big 5 accounting firms, all of whom look like they're 19 years old, but they all have undergraduate degrees in accounting. And they put a tool on your systems and they run a dump and make you explain everything. It's brutal.
Oh, I'm sure. Like I said, I mean, I remember, like, we've been through these ebbs and flows, right, over the last, all of us being in this, you, Jim, and I don't know who else has been in this space for 25 years, but we seem to go through these periods, right, when Microsoft starts to crack down, and who knows if this is going to be one of them. But
Chip and I have been talking about this for a while. It was just a matter of time. It's like, I think they wanted to try to get as many people almost cheating the system before they actually went out and did the audits. So money grab.
It would be nice if somebody, maybe one of the big equity-backed MSPs, Jim, had the financial wherewithal to take them on and say, hey, if you didn't want people to do this, you shouldn't have built a system that explicitly allows for it.
Yeah.
You certainly must follow all the conversations in the MSP world and the general Microsoft world around people who say, well, you can do this. This is what I do. And very few people push back and say you shouldn't. No one reads your whole license agreement. No one can afford that amount of time.
Right.
It does almost feel like entrapment, not to
That's the
use
exact
a
word I
legal
would
term.
use.
But it feels like it because it shouldn't be possible to violate the license agreement.
Right.
They're a technology company, for God's sake. They should be able to. You can't do this with Google
Right.
Workspace. Perfect
Right.
example. You
Yep.
can't access elements of their equivalent of 365 if you don't have the licensing paid for each individual user.
Yep.
So simple.
Yep. Yep. Entrapment's the exact word. The exact word.
Well,
I
I'm
think
not a lawyer, so I don't like to use legal terms, but I did stay at Holiday Inn Express last night. There you go.
I think CrowdStrike feels the same way after their EU argument, Chip. So,
But
Yep.
I just wanted to make sure, like, we talk about things that are topical in this forum, and if there are folks out there they have the situation in place before you get yourself in a potential audit, I would rectify it.
and you can confess here and we won't say anything.
This is a safe place.
Except it's recorded and posted on YouTube and in Discord.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, look, it's a great opportunity to go back to your customers and say, look, this just happened. And, we want to make sure that you get trued up and you getting the benefit of this licensing. So we've got to charge you for it and make sure that all your users are licensed for it.
Mhm.
Use it as an opportunity.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Storytelling's always big in sales.
Mhm.
All right. Should I move on, Jim?
Yeah, please.
Okay. I'm going to share my desktop, which is, as we know, always dangerous, but I do want to show you guys something.
Ben just said something in the chat too, which is something that
Go ahead.
we've promoted business premium for a long time because we think the combination of business premium with SaaS Alerts is actually a really great value. We call it right sizing your costs and right sizing your protection. So we've been ever since we started doing webinars on NCE a couple of years ago. We've been promoting the fact that we think business premium is the best license type for the average small, medium-sized business. Just put that out there.
All right. So, when there's something, again, that's germane, like I last week with Veeam, this week I'm going to bring to you Fortinet. This one came out yesterday. This is a 9.8. If you know any MSPs running FortiGate in your stack, please be aware. This is my good friends over at Nucleus. This is actively being exploited as we speak. It is critical. They consider it a P2 severity. And CISA has raised the alarm about this one. This is not to go into it, but there is a patch now out for it, from my understanding. But just wanted to give you guys a heads up that this is another doozy one if a threat actor gets into your environment through FortiGate Manager. So, all right. Let's see. So then we will go to, just so you know, this is what I'm going to be talking to you guys about today, the Microsoft Digital Defense Report. I will put it in chat. Awesome. I mean, I can't imagine what they spend, Chip and Amy, on their marketing. It's like, I'll just give you a sense of I'll start off here. This is the section I'm going to start off. I'm going to close my meeting chat. If there's any questions, maybe you can bring them up to me, Amy.
Yeah.
But the graphics and
I was gonna say, is it weird that I just think the main cover graphic is really cool?
They just do absolutely phenomenal job. So I'm going to try my best I'm going to keep it open like this. I'm going to enhance it. As I said, it's a lengthy report. It's fairly, as you can see here, it's fairly easy to read. But I went obviously to the things that we talk about and are interested in on a day in, day out basis. So I went right to the identity and social engineering. This one, by starting off with was, right away, if you take a look here, I mean, again, kudos to you guys on building a platform because this is what they go, I highlighted it, right? They're focusing identity of, SaaS applications because this is where the world is working, etc. One positive note, by the way, Jim, we've talked about this for a while. We've gotten up to a 41% adoption in MFA. That is pretty profound to going from 31 to 41.
Well, yeah, it is. I mean, just last year was 35.
Yeah.
So, and the year before that was 32. So,
yeah, so people are getting it. That is a good sign. One thing that is, and I'm going to show you a few charts around this that I was blown away. 90 more than 99% of all attacks are password attacks. Now granted we have password spraying and all those type of things, but with all the different attacks we see with SaaS alerts, I was like, wow, that's profound. And they break it down a little bit. By the way, what's really nice about this, you could use this to create some type of, if I was an MSP today, I would use this, as marketing, like create like little marketing vignettes to send out each week or, because they talk about the actionable insights, what you should do. By the way, configuration is, again, kudos to you guys. That's why I did this and highlighted this is because they talk about, again, what you guys are focusing on in the product around configuration and obviously changes to identity. Again, here we go with tokens and adversary in the middle attacks. This is what they point out, that this is where the threat actors and obviously token theft, this is what they're seeing, this is what we're seeing. I guess what I'm trying to say here is no shock, but again, awesome job to you guys and how you're building the platform, what you're focusing on. But this is obviously in terms of a data set, there's no larger data set in the world than this one, and what they're seeing on a day in and day out basis. So only 39,000 instances. So they're seeing yours, right? If you think about it, they're seeing what you're seeing just on a much grander scale. So thoughts so far.
Hey, Andrew,
yeah.
Before you flip this slide, I want to focus on the first paragraph of column 3 there.
Sure.
The exploiting application to access high value resources. That they phrase this: threat actors are taking advantage of abandoned, unmonitored, and overprivileged cloud-based applications. Jim, anything come to mind?
Yeah.
So this is, this just ties into something that we probably haven't pounded the drum on this in a few months worth of calls, but what we call orphaned accounts, the guest accounts and the user accounts that have been abandoned because people didn't have a good process in place to clean people up after they're separated from a company. We've always felt that those are some of the riskiest elements that MSPs frequently don't like to monitor, because they think of an account as a human and a human has to pay. But it's really those orphaned accounts out there that can be so dangerous because no one's watching them. And I just like the way Microsoft is calling this out, that they're a risk. I haven't seen them do that before, because honestly, it almost goes counter to their interest. And kudos to them for doing it, right? It's better off for Microsoft to let everybody leave abandoned accounts out there that they're still paying for, users that didn't get shut off when they left, their employer. But they're calling it out here, and I think they deserve some credit for it.
Yeah, I agree, Chip. And whether we're talking about cloud-based attacks like this that you're pointing out, or infrastructure like service accounts, it's like ask Okta how well that worked out for them, right?
Yeah. Yep.
It's a lot of the times it's these things that we think aren't important, that become where you get bitten. So this is kind of interesting too down here, Chip, about only found that 2.6 of workload identity permissions were used and 50% were completely inactive. So again, just kind of going into like, they're seeing probably a lot about what you're seeing, with these accounts.
Yep, I think so.
Which is probably the statistic you guys have, right? Don't you have like these crazy statistics on inactive user accounts, or like?
We do,
Yeah.
although that's gotten a lot better over over the past, let's say, 18 months, ever since we introduced the ability to have Fortify automatically call out and trim inactive accounts based upon usage and account type. That's gotten a lot better. We still see the accounts out there, but we also know now that most of the MSPs using our platform are automatically blocking those accounts from sign in, so they're no longer a threat. And that's proven very, very effective in reducing the attack surface of the accounts that are contained, that have been imported within our system.
Yeah. Just to give you an idea, I'm looking at a report right now. We bill for over 1.5 million accounts, but we protect 3.8 million, over 3.8 million.
Wow. Wow.
And the delta is made up of mostly guest accounts and accounts that should be shut off because they've been abandoned, but they haven't been yet.
So
So
this, okay. Go.
we carry a lot of excess costs because of it, but we want to protect the community as much as we can.
Enrique.
So quick question on this one. We started blocking users instead of deleting them, guest users or guest accounts. Then we realized once you block them, they're never coming back in. So then somewhere, I think through Ben, Anthony, SaaS Alerts team, someone said you're better served deleting them and not blocking them, because if they're legit guest users that have to come back at that point in time, if they're deleted, they just register again. Where they're blocked, they're no longer in life, are they coming in until they reach out.
Yeah, I prefer to delete them, because if they do need to be, like Enrique said, if you need them again, they'll just be recreated. Whereas if they're blocked, then that's usually a call to your help desk to have them unblocked. And so, yeah.
Yeah,
So this
absolutely concur.
So this is kind of interesting, isn't it, Chip? You like when you like, the things we talk about all the time over here, that's literally less than 1% of all the attacks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Look, this definitely comports with our data. The biggest complaint that our new MSP partners have is the amount of background noise in the SaaS Alerts data, because so much of it is password spray, brute force attacks, dictionary attacks, and that they fall into these password attack categories. Most of our partners pretty quickly learn to set all that stuff to a low severity in our event system, so they don't get an alert on it, because it doesn't indicate a compromised account until the next couple of steps, where they actually have a password to an account that is not MFA protected. And then they get in and they're up to some mischief. We catch that as well, fortunately. But I think over the lifespan now of our business and of the product, our users have definitely learned, our MSP users have definitely learned to better password hygiene, definitely get MFA going, using conditional access rules, coupling those with whitelisting in our system so they get extra visibility into what people are doing. And I think it trims back the attack surface quite a bit.
Yeah. Really cool. It aligns, obviously to because you're looking at similar data set, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What's surprising to me, almost like, is that only 1% there? Is that 1%? Yeah, 1% is infrastructure compromised.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and again, Jim, I need to dig into this, but it might be cloud infrastructure.
Okay.
Just to be fair in this data set. So don't hold me to that. I need to look at it a little deeper.
I would guess that's what it is, that it's cloud infrastructure.
Yeah. Oh, wait. threat actors may compromise an on-premise federation server, and so it's saying both actually.
Well, I mean, this is exactly why we built SaaS Alerts, because we knew that all the attacks were going to user and SaaS applications.
Yeah, it's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Let's see this one. What I want to really cover here.
You got something highlighted there about password only auth.
Hold on. Oh.
Oh, that's brilliant. So I'm glad to see that too.
Which part?
Using the term archaic expiry and complexity policies. So we've talked about this in past calls, and I still find myself preaching about this when I'm speaking to groups. It still feels like most of the world, including most of the applications I use in my personal life, still think it's a good idea to get you to change your password every X amount of days or
Hate it.
weeks. And Microsoft, again, to their credit, 2 years ago, I think they released their first study that stated it's actually not the right hygiene. It's worse than just having users have long, complex passwords that they never have to change. And you wind up having a far fewer incidents of the password becoming the pathway for an identity breach. It's the changing of passwords that cause the bad behavior. So, couple the right behavior with a password manager that automatically generates, a 16 or 20 character long, crazy password, and you've got the right solution, but don't make people change them. And that's exactly what is called out in that little blurb that you highlighted.
Yeah. So, but how come the compliance frameworks have not caught up with this?
Do you want the snarky answer or?
Yeah.
I mean,
So the chip snarky answer is usually the correct answer. So yes, I want.
because bureaucracies of whether it's government or private move slowly and they don't necessarily adopt to the times, and there are people invested who are maintaining those frameworks are invested in an old way of thinking and they don't want to give up on it yet. But
They're
the
also
data's there and it's super clear.
like you look at a typical NIST document on Picket, like NIST on passwords, and it's 4,052 pages, and I mean, just look how long it took to get a CMMC rule out, right? So
Yeah.
I think that's probably a good point there. All right. Let me kind of shrink this down. Here we go. Oh yeah. So this was the adoption of MFA. This is, kind of Jim, again, right? Their numbers are a little bit different than what we're seeing, but pretty much tracking identically, right, to the SaaS.
Yep.
So, it's nice to see improvement. I mean, again, it's not what we want immediately, but again, a great conversation, I think, from a sales perspective for your customers, right?
Yeah.
Jim, you built before you went to work for Kaseya, you had that company where you were comparing data. Remember?
Yes.
And I think it's such an important sales technique for you to use as an MSP to talk about, hey, look, this is what we're seeing for the averages. This is what our clients are at, right? The average is 41. Our clients are at 89. Where are you guys compared to your?
I think from a sales perspective, Andrew, I know this is a 114-page document, but a good exercise would be to go through this and pick out the really important segments that demonstrate exactly why they should be your customers should be using SaaS alerts. And if they are using it, this is why we do what we do. This report is justification for why you're spending the money you're spending with us and why we do what we do to protect you.
Yeah.
And from a prospecting standpoint, I think it's even more powerful.
And Jim, the age-old, Gary Pico, what if I told you that MFA was a legacy technology? Meaning really, you'd want to be with phishing resistant MFA if you could get everybody to go there. But
right,
that's a dream. but it's a great conversation,
Yep.
right? Let's at least get you to the midpoint of where you should be.
100%.
This is about account takeovers. Not shocking. What segment is getting, hit the most here, which is SM. Again, this is a great conversation. You're seeing, which is going to be your clients, right? This is SMB that is getting hammered with the account takeovers, and it's up significantly as we're seeing here. This is one I really wanted to talk to you all about in terms of trends. Good, you're back, Chip, because I'm glad Microsoft called this out, because this is one that I think MSPs are really going to have to get better at. This is one that I think we're going to really see a lot more of, which is them social engineering you or your clients from a help desk perspective. So thoughts on this, Chip? Was there any, when you went through your ISO, was there any kind of pieces that the auditors looked on your verification methods on help desk and service desk calls and things of that nature?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Verification on help desk and service desk, verification on internal requests for resource allocation. I need to see a document, or I need access to this particular database element, or enhanced permissions for this, that, or the other thing. We've had to have really tight processes in place around that all along. And we see this kind of stuff almost weekly now. And I don't know if Leron's on the call.
He's running.
Yeah. I mean, we had a situation earlier this week where someone, again, impersonating Jim, asking, Leron about a technical task. And I won't go into too much detail, but this attacker had fared enough about other external systems that we use for documenting some, non-technical stuff, some more like HR stuff, that they knew a system that we used, and they tried to impersonate a message coming from Leron in that system to Jim, which was fascinating, which tells me that they themselves were a compromised product, and picked up credentials, just an email address. Probably saw that it was SaaSalerts.com, went to LinkedIn, figured out who the CEO is. Okay, well, we're going to send a request from Jim to this team member who we got an email address for, based upon this product, and try and see if we can get somebody to jump.
Yeah. And I bet a lot of it's automated too, Chip, in terms of their searches and,
Yeah, absolutely could be. I mean, this is worth our MSP partners talking to their customers about in that specific. We've talked about these kinds of things before that have started happening with us pretty frequently, maybe a year ago. And it's always people impersonating Jim to try and use the authority of the CEO, which is a social engineering tactic, to get somebody to do something that is going to lead to a further compromise in the system. And I don't know how much, our attendees of this weekly meeting and our MSP partners in general actually have these conversations with their customers, because the same thing's going to happen to them. They're going to target in the same fashion the owner of the company, the senior executives, to try and social engineer through the other people just by impersonating them. So if it's not a conversation you had already with your customers, it's definitely one that's worth having.
or if your customer does have some type of customer service desk, or
Yeah, that too.
like definitely have those types of conversations with them, because this, again, we want to keep following the bouncing ball, right, Chip? The bouncing ball we're seeing is certainly moving towards this pseudo, or semi deep fake or deep fakes, and social engineering to the help desk. And and again, think about it. If you get it, this is the MSPs on the margin have gotten better about locking up RMM. So how do I get back in? It's just they're doing the same thing a different way. How do I get back into this MSP or somebody with a large scale environment like an MGM that has, a lot of keys to the kingdom to to get into an environment like this.
Absolutely.
Um,
I suppose the next slide is going to be that 90% of the security breaches are human based after we had that one.
well, I think that we know that to be true, but this is what we've been talking about quite a bit these last few weeks. If you recall, Chip, these PDF attachments and those different social engineering. It's just, again, I think it's really interesting what they continue, that what we see is what they see, right? Week in, week out, the types of attacks. This is one we've talked about, those domains getting stood up, the captchas. They talk about all of those types of attacks that they are seeing more and more of. So these are the trends. This is what I would be, like I said, I'm not going to do it justice, but I really want you guys to spend some time. This one is awesome. I wanted to really share this one because this is like a slide built for Bo, right? Chip, if you look at this, like, what do they do once they're in?
Well, yeah, this is my theme, Andrew. There's no such thing as a business email compromise. It's an account compromise. Once you
Yep,
get it, you can do anything you want.
yep. So, they just do a really nice job pointing out about what they do with that identity, what kind of pivots they make with these identities. We see this all the time, right? Spear phishing, this is, if they get in and get an identity, you guys see this day in and day out. Obviously, this is what we saw, with, if you think about it, with the Veeam attack last week, they were getting in through VPNs and then they access Veeam. So again,
Yeah.
what's old is new, if you will. This is up, so.
This is it all over again. Hey, Michelle, does this slide look familiar to you? This
Hey,
graphic?
Michelle.
I know.
Should it?
Yeah, because either you or Michelle, and I don't remember which one created very, very similar
Full SaaS
sort of
report.
circle of life here for one of the presentations that we do. This
That would have been
revolving door.
Michelle. Yes.
Hmm. Just trying to see this last piece here.
So Andrew, if you're one other thing I'd want to ask everybody, kind of like a poll, and it was back on slide 11. You don't have to bring it up again, but the PDF stuff. So I've noticed a big uptick in the PDF attachments getting past spam filters in the last month. Oddly enough, mostly on my personal side, where I use both Gmail and Proton, but also some on the in our corporate mail where you guys know we use Google Workspace. I'm just curious if other folks are seeing that as well, because I'm accustomed usually to most of the time people are sending links and attachments and stuff that they want you to click on that they're getting filtered out. But I've been seeing an uptick of stuff getting through. And it's usually somebody that says they're sending me an invoice that they want me to click on and review, and I don't bother because I don't recognize the email address. But I'm curious if other folks are seeing that same thing, or if you've heard anything about it, Andrew.
Well, Enrique's saying yes. You wonder, Chip, do you think they're doing something different, or is it because not all spam systems can be falling down here? Do you think the threat actors are doing something different with the PDFs?
I think they may be doing something different with the attachments themselves, but I also think that they're beginning to shift tactics, specifically around ASNs and networks that they're coming from and domains that they're using. They're coming up with fresh stuff that isn't already, on effectively a real-time blacklist for different components, whether it's the domain, the ASN, specific IPs. I think they're realizing that they have to freshen the tool set. Even if it's the same tool set, they just have to sort of resharpen the blades and use some different components because they're just getting caught too much by the tools, whether it's Microsoft or Google's native email filtering or any of the myriad of products out there that people use independent of those. I think that the ongoing tug of war between staying ahead of the protection is in a new phase right now. It feels that way to me because I'm not accustomed to seeing as much of the stuff get through.
I got to jump, Andrew, but before I do, I want to make a really important programming note for next week. There's a bunch of us that are traveling next week and won't be able to, so we won't be able to do this on Thursday next week. So we're going to move it to Wednesday, 1:00.
Oh, okay. Wednesday at 1. Did Miss Amy?
I'm gonna post a link here. This should, because you're gonna have to add it to the meeting to your calendar again. The Thursday calendar invite will work fine if you just want to add a reminder for Wednesday at 1:00. But this link, if somebody can test it for me, I've tested it on my own computer, but if somebody can test it to make sure that it brings up that calendar download for you to be able to add it into your calendar of choice, according to Zoom, it's
Yes,
supposed to work.
it does for next Wednesday at 12 Central.
Yes,
Okay, so
1 p.m.
1:00
Eastern.
Eastern.
Yep.
Yep. Okay.
Beautiful.
Awesome.
We'll
Thanks,
share it on the
everybody.
Discord channel too. Under the Sassy MSP call after I post today's recording, so it doesn't get lost in the messages. And we'll try and get a reminder out next week.
Yeah.
'Cause I know we're also used to having it Thursday at 1, but I think all of us are going to be on a plane.
Yeah. So great. Okay.
Where are we headed?
Thanks, everybody.
We're on a DataCon.
Aruba.
We're
Oh, I wish Aruba.
yeah.
I didn't get my invite.
All right. Bye,
Thanks,
guys.
everybody.
everybody.
Guys.
Bye.